I want you to use comparison as a compass. Here's the thing, friends. We are not comparing ourselves to people who have a life we do not desire. We are comparing ourselves to people who have things that we want. And I want to say the number one thing that I hear people desire is clarity. People are like, oh my gosh, I just want so much clarity. Guess where your clarity is going to come from? If you don't know what it is that you should be working on, or you don't know exactly what your goals are, or you don't know what you want, pay attention to your comparison. Welcome to the Chingona Revolution podcast, where we will bring out your inner badass Latina, overcome self-doubt, help you gain clarity, and pave your own path, all while leading with courage. I am your host, Latina coach and speaker, Erica Cruz. Hello, friends. Welcome to this week's episode of Chingona Revolution podcast. This is your host, Erica Cruz. And before I went on my trip, I just got back last night from almost 3 weeks in Italy. And before I went on my trip, I surveyed you all on my Instagram to vote on what my next free training was going to be. And one of the topics that got a lot of votes and I ended up not choosing was all about how do you stop comparing yourself to others and start manifesting your biggest goals. And because I didn't choose that for my free webinar that's coming up on July 14th, I figured I would do a podcast episode on it today. So if you have ever found yourself comparing yourself to somebody else, or maybe you have found yourself saying something like, oh man, see, I know that I knew I was behind. That person already started the business or already has the job title. And you really just have that thought of she's ahead or he's ahead or they're ahead and I'm behind, then this podcast episode is for you. I also want to validate that if you have found yourself comparing yourself to others, there's nothing wrong with you. It is human nature to be wired for connection and to look to others for inspiration and for guidance, right? And also we're just a community focused species. Of course we're going to look to other people, and we wouldn't survive on this planet on our own. So there's nothing wrong with you. But the problem that comes up when we are stuck in comparison is when that comparison doesn't allow us to go after our biggest goals because we're so focused on other people's success that we end up not contributing to our own because all of our time is spent comparing ourselves to others. Before I get into this very important and juicy episode, I just wanted to give you all a quick update. I just got back late last night from Italy, and most of my time in Italy was spent in southern Italy. This is the second time I've gone. I also went last June, and it is such a different environment than being in Rome or being in Florence, because I first went to Florence and then I went to Rome and then I went down to southern Italy. But southern Italy reminds me a lot of my mom's village in Mexico, where it's a little bit more rural. There's more farmland. People don't typically speak English. So it was just so nice to be in a slower paced environment. And then to make it all better, we happened to be also by the beach. So we went to the beach almost every day. And I want to say after about 3 or 4 days of being in southern Italy, I literally felt myself slow down. And because it is a 9-hour time difference from California, it meant I pretty much had all the morning and all the afternoon without my phone really ringing, without Instagram notifications, without text messages, without phone calls. And it really allowed me to be in the present moment. And I had a call with one of my clients earlier today, somebody who's a private client. And she said to me, you look so recharged and relaxed. And I do feel that way. And I didn't do a lot of work. And, I think typically I would have made myself feel really guilty for not doing work. But I think the act of allowing myself to really rest, I did come back energized and refreshed. And here I am literally right after I landed recording this podcast episode. I already went to kickboxing. I already had 2 meetings. I already made food. I already got my nails done. And then it's Friday. So I'm looking for, okay, what else do I want to do today? And I do feel re-energized. It's crazy that when you actually allow yourself to rest, it does lead to creativity. So just wanted to share that really quick. So let's get into the episode. Okay, so after coaching over 275 women in my program, Courage Driven Latina, plus many one on one clients, plus about 20 something people that have been in my mastermind, I can tell you with complete certainty that comparison is something that comes up a lot. So if you find yourself comparing yourself to other people, I want you to know that nothing is wrong with you. Nothing is wrong with you at all. But there is one main thing that I've noticed, and it is that when we find ourselves comparing ourselves to somebody else, typically we are only comparing ourselves to a certain area of their life. So let's say that your goal is to go and start a business. Chances are you're going to compare yourself to other people who have started a business. But just because in that one area of their life, they are quote unquote ahead of you, right? That's what you're telling yourself. You're telling yourself that they're ahead of you. You're not looking at their complete life, right? Maybe you're already a parent and maybe you actually love the job that you're at, but you also want to start a side business. And maybe for the other person, they're like, damn, like I really want to become a parent. That's something I really want. So while we look to others to compare ourselves in this specific area, chances are that they don't have their life together in all areas of their life. People will send me messages about my extensive travel history. Yeah, I was like, what's the word? My extensive travel history. Or they'll send me messages about creating content or about a podcast or about having the courage to leave my job. And while yes, these are all accomplishments of mine, it doesn't mean that my life is perfect. I still haven't figured out exactly where I'm going to be moving to. I was thinking it was going to be LA. A lot of other things came up and I'm not living in the most ideal situation right now. I mean, I'm very grateful for it. I'm grateful to be with my mom and to be able to support her, but this isn't where I want to be long term. I didn't think I would be almost 35 still living at my mom's house, right? So it's so easy to compare your life to mine when you have no idea what's actually really happening in my life. And that's why I think being vulnerable and sharing some of these things is important, because you can look at me and think, oh my gosh, Erica's life is perfect. And there's so many things I'm trying to figure out right now. Yes, my business is good. I love what I do. I have found my purpose. But even then, like sometimes business will be up and down and we go through challenges. And it's so easy to look to other people and think that the grass is greener on the other side, but we're only looking at the limited view we have of their grass, right? We're not looking at all of the grass. We're not looking at everything. So what I've learned through coaching so many people, it's that you can't compare one area of your life to another person's and make that mean everything, because that's only one area of your life, right? Like I have so many friends that are single and they're looking for their partner and they're like, am I ever going to meet someone? But yet they're like these baddies. And then you've got other women comparing themselves to my friends. They're like, oh my gosh, these girls are business owners, or these girls own homes and blah, blah, blah. And the person who's comparing themselves might be in a very healthy relationship and have these different things, right? So people are always going to have other things that we might not have, but that's not the basis for comparing yourself and your complete life to the other person. And I see this in Courage Driven Latina all the time. Of course, we're going to focus on the things that we want to manifest, right? We're going to focus. If what you want is a career pivot, you're going to focus on wanting a new career, and you might compare yourself to other people who have what you consider a dream job. Or if you want to become a business owner and you want to go full time in your business, chances are you're probably going to compare yourself to other people who already have done that. But what I want you to know is that nobody has every area of their life figured out. Even if they do, just like we never stop growing, right? We always want to level things up. So you might be looking at me and thinking, oh my gosh, Erica's business is perfect. And me behind the scenes, I'm like, okay, like what needs to change? What do we need to improve? How can we make the program results better? How can we market better? Should we try this other thing? So it's like, even if you've reached a certain level of goals, we're humans. We're wired for growth. We're wired for more growth. So just as a quick reflection, I want you to think about who you've been comparing yourself to and what area of your life that is. Is it business? Is it career? Is it relationships? Is it travel? Is it friendships, right? That one's a big one. Seeing other people, like every time I post my friends, people will ask me, how do you have such aligned friendships? How do you find that? So really take a moment to reflect on how or what area of your life is the area that you're comparing yourself to, and who are you comparing yourself to? And now think about, what do you possibly have that they don't? What is figured out in your life that maybe that person is lacking? The biggest issue I see with comparison is that we make other people's success our enemy. We look to their success as evidence that we are behind, or that it's not possible for us. Like, oh man, that person already started this podcast. Well, now I can't do it. And again, the problem with comparison is when that comparison paralyzes us and it stops us from taking the action on the goals that we want to create. And this reminds me of a story that I've told on this podcast before, but it's such a good story, and it's evidence of the point I'm trying to put across here. So let me tell you the story. The story has to do with my two dogs. If you follow me on Instagram, you know I have a dog named Paloma, but just a couple of years ago, we used to have two dogs, and Noah ended up passing on. He lived a very good life, and we ended up putting him down just because he was losing a lot of energy, and we learned he was anemic, and it wasn't something that could really be fixed with diet. They think it could have been like cancer causing, but his health was declining pretty quickly, and he was not in a lot of pain. They gave us medication, and we ended up putting him down. So he went really peacefully. Of course, we were very sad about it because he'd been our family dog for about 10 years, maybe a little more. And yeah, we were really sad. But Paloma, and his name was Noah, Paloma and Noah were little homies. And they were homies for a few years. Like, I think we had Paloma for about 6 years before Noah ended up passing on. And our dogs are total Mexican dogs. And every time they heard my mom making tortillas or heard myself making tortillas, the two dogs would come up and they would be so excited. But Noah, because he was older than Paloma, was already missing some teeth, and it would just take him a lot longer to eat. And Paloma is younger. She's super agile. Like, even now, she's 10 now, and we still go on 2 mile hikes, like almost on a daily basis. And she's good to go. She will run. She won't run the whole time, but she'll take little sprints. She's just a very active dog. And when it comes to food, she's very motivated by treats or by food. So she would eat her food much faster. So I would make them little mini tortillas, and then I would make them into little tacos. And sometimes I'd even put like their dog food inside the tortilla so they could have like a little pebble taco. Or if we had, things that they could actually eat, I would put it inside. And so I would have their two tacos, and typically I would give it to Noah first because Noah was older and it would take him longer to eat it. And Paloma was so quick at eating it that I already knew if I gave it to her first, she was then going to go try to take Noah's. So on this particular day, I was, they already knew that I was making tortillas. They already knew they were getting one. They were so excited. And I hand Noah his, and Noah takes a bite of it and runs off to his little bed where he was going to eat it. And then I turned around to give Paloma hers, and Paloma wasn't there anymore. And I was like, where'd she go? And I look over, and she followed Noah to his bed to try to take his from him. And in that moment, I was like, oh my gosh, I had like this download in that instant. And I said to myself, this is exactly what happens when we're so focused on somebody else's win and we're following their wins. We miss out on our own, because Paloma was about to get her little taco, but because she was so busy following Noah, she wasn't there for it. So when we spend all of our energy and effort and time focused on other people's wins and other people's accomplishments, we abandon our own. So that means even if opportunities present themselves to us, we miss them. We miss them because we're so focused on other people's wins and accomplishments. And I love this story because it's a perfect example of how comparison is the thief of success, right? It's the thief of joy. It's focused on other people's things when we have our own things. And the truth is, that what is meant for you, it won't miss you so long as you're taking action towards the thing that you are looking to create. Because remember, manifestation isn't just thinking, it also is doing. And if you stop doing, you're going to stop manifesting. Does it feel like everybody around you is manifesting their dream job, starting businesses, finding their dream partner, and you're just sitting there wondering what in the world you are doing wrong? Maybe you feel stuck, or maybe you are stuck doing research over and over before starting the thing that you know is going to bring your life fulfillment. If so, I would love to invite you to my free webinar, The 90-Day Manifestation Path to Entrepreneurship, Courage, and Career Pivots Without Feeling Scared, Stuck, or Overwhelmed. In this free webinar, you are going to learn the exact 3-part process to stop overthinking, start taking aligned action, and to apply manifestation principles into your career and to your life and into every area of your being. Because manifestation is not just hopeful thinking, there's a method to it. This is for you if you are a first-gen Latina or woman of color who knows that they want more clarity, more confidence, more freedom, even if you don't know exactly what that looks like yet. Maybe you've been thinking about launching a business, changing careers, or putting yourself out there with your content, but something always seems to get in the way and hold you back. What you are really craving is flexibility, fulfillment, and freedom. And while the path may feel overwhelming, I want you to know that this is possible for you. Manifestation doesn't just work for some people and not for other people. In this free webinar, I'm going to walk you through the exact steps to help you move from stuck and scared into confident, courageous action. At the end of the webinar, we are also opening doors for my signature group program, Courage Driven Latina, which is a transformational 12-month coaching program to help you gain clarity, build confidence, and complete your dream project within 90 days. And what makes this round extra special is that I am donating 10% of all sales made in July to organizations supporting immigrant rights and families that have been affected by deportation. If you've been waiting for the right moment to join this program, this is it. Your dreams deserve a chance, especially now. This webinar is happening on July 14th at 5 o'clock Pacific time. Click on the link down below to secure your spot. I'll see you there. I have 2 strategies that I want to share with you on this podcast episode to stop comparing yourself and start to manifest your biggest goals. So the first strategy that I need you to focus on so that you can stop comparing yourself to other people and start manifesting your biggest goals is I need you to connect to your bigger why. Why is it that you want to start a business? Why is it that you want to have a career pivot? Why is it that you want to start creating content? Why is it that you have this specific goal? And when you connect to your bigger why, you're taking the spotlight off of yourself and off of other people and putting it on the intention behind your goal. So let me give you some examples. Let's say that you want to pivot in your career. You want to pivot in your career because maybe you want a more flexible job and maybe you want more pay. And why do you really want that? Well, because you want more pay and you want more flexibility, right? You want more freedom essentially. But why is it that you want the more freedom? Maybe you are a new parent. Maybe you want to spend more time with your family. Or maybe you've decided, I don't want to wait to travel until I retire. I want to start traveling now. And in order to do that, I need more freedom and flexibility. And that's why I want this career pivot. And then what does travel help you do? Well, travel helps you have a more open mind. It allows you to meet new people, right? Those are good whys rather than I just want to make more money. Like, why is it that you want to make more money? Or let's say that you want to start a business. And you want to start a business because you know that your business is going to change lives, because your business is what you wish you had 5 years ago that you didn't have, but it would have saved your butt. Because that's where Courage Driven Latina was created from. It was the program I wish I had. And now that why isn't just, oh, because I think it's cool to be a business owner. No, it's because you legitimately want to help people. And when you connect to your bigger why, you are less likely to focus on other people because you shift your focus from other people or yourself or your insecurities, and you're focusing on the reason, on the why behind wanting to do this. And this is why inside of Courage Driven Latina, if you are in Courage Driven Latina, whenever we have you pick a courage project, the courage project always has to be tied to your bigger why. And that's because when you have a why connected to the actions and an intention behind why you're doing something, you're less likely to give up and be distracted by things like comparison. Because let's say that your business idea is going to help kids. Why are you worried about what somebody else is doing? You should be worried about making the most amount of impact with these kids. Or if you have a family and you're like, I want more freedom and flexibility because I want to spend more time with my family and be present with them, you're not going to be focused on what Susie over there is doing when your intention is to spend more time with your family. And an easy way of finding your why for your goal, write the goal at the top of the page and ask yourself, why do I want this? And then do that like 3 to 4 times. So we'll just use the career pivot one as an example. So why do you want a career pivot? Well, because I want to make more money. Why do you want to make more money? Because I want to feel financially safe and secure and more free. Why do you want to feel financially safe, secure, and more free? Because when I do, then I can be more present with my kids. I can take the sick time that I need. I can travel whenever I want. Do you see how asking why a few times really lets you get to that root why? So that's the strategy number one. The second strategy is that I want you to use comparison as a compass. Here's the thing, friends. We are not comparing ourselves to people who have a life we do not desire. We are comparing ourselves to people who have things that we want. And I want to say the number one thing that I hear people desire is clarity. People are like, oh my gosh, I just want so much clarity. Guess where your clarity is going to come from? If you don't know what it is that you should be working on, or you don't know exactly what your goals are, or you don't know what you want, pay attention to your comparison. Who are you comparing yourself to? Because comparison is not a bad thing if you're using it as a compass. Comparison is only bad when it's stopping you from taking action on your goals. Whenever you're thinking to yourself, oh man, I'm not good enough, but that person is. Or, oh man, that person already accomplished this. Now I have to do it better, or I'm not going to do it at all. That's when a comparison becomes a dream killer. But you can really use comparison as a compass. Because again, what's for you is going to be for you. So long as you take the action towards it, so long as you believe you are worthy of it. And I know, we talked about how to manifest your biggest goals. Well, I would invite you to revisit the BFF method podcast episode where I talk about the belief, how you have to believe that you're worthy of this manifestation that you want. F, which is forget reality. You have to forget your current circumstances because it's not about what is right now. It's about what you are creating in the future. And then focus, right? So you need to focus on how you feel as well as like what it is you want, how you feel when you have it, not how it's going to come. Oh, and why it is that you want it, which I literally just shared with you as strategy number 1. So again, strategy number 2 is you using comparison as a compass. Whenever you find yourself comparing yourself to somebody, you can go down a rabbit hole of, oh my gosh, I'm not good enough. Oh my gosh, this person already did this. Or you can use it in a different way and say, oh, I found myself comparing myself to this person who has a podcast. And I didn't know I wanted a podcast. But if I'm comparing myself, I should explore this. What would I talk about on the podcast? How would it feel to have my own podcast? Who would I want it to serve? And just start exploring things like that. And remember, connecting to your bigger why. Why is it that I would want to do that? So to quickly recap what we've talked about on this episode, the biggest issue with comparison is that we a lot of times can use other people's success as our enemy. This belief that because somebody else had success and we can't have it anymore, it's such a cultural thing. There's this belief almost within our community that there can only be one person at the top. But the truth is that we can all be successful because we don't all want the exact same things. But this belief that, oh man, somebody already had this success, so I can't have it, that is scarcity mindset at play. And that in itself, that scarcity mindset is what blocks manifestations. Because manifestation is all about believing that there is enough to go around. It's about believing that there is abundance, even if in the moment you can't see it. And I want you to know that when other people have had success, that's evidence that it's possible, not the opposite. But a lot of us have been conditioned to believe, oh man, that person already has success. So like, too bad, you already lost. But like, this is not a competition. This is life. This is life, and everybody's life is going to be very, very different. If you're comparing yourself to my journey, it wasn't until I was 29, 30 that I started my business at 29 and left tech. I literally had a whole 10-year career before becoming an entrepreneur. And guess what? Before I was an entrepreneur, I was like, what's my purpose? Oh my gosh. Like that was my biggest focus. And now I'm worried about other things. Now I'm like, am I ever going to freaking have kids? Am I ever going to move away? So I'm telling you, we can sit here and look to other people and think their life is perfect. It's not. People are always working towards something. People are always looking to manifest new things. But the key to manifestation is leaning into that abundance mindset. Again, I recommend that you check out the BFF Method podcast episode if you want to learn more about manifestation. We also talked about the Paloma and Noah story and how when we're so focused on other people's accomplishments and wins, we can sometimes neglect our own. So beautiful things can be happening for us and we're not even aware of them because we're so distracted looking to other people's lives. I then went into the strategy. The first one is connecting to your bigger why. When you are focused on your bigger why, you're less focused on other people. And then secondly, using comparison as a compass. We are never going to compare ourselves to people's lives that we don't want to have. So we can use that comparison as information and as clarity for what it is that we want to create. And last but not least, if this podcast episode resonated with you, then join us for my free webinar, which is happening on July 14th at 5 o'clock Pacific. It is the 90-day manifestation path to entrepreneurship, to courage, and a career pivot without feeling scared, stuck, or overwhelmed. If you'd like to register, you can join by using the link down below in the show notes. If you follow me on Instagram, you can just type in the word manifest on any of the posts that are talking about the webinar, and I'll send you the link so that you can register. Be sure to tell a friend as well. I know I talked about this briefly on the last podcast episode, but everything that's going on with the essentially attacks on undocumented immigrants and even people who aren't undocumented, but everything that's going on in the community, I think it can be really easy to just want to hide. And the people who are undocumented and are affected by this, it makes so much sense that they would want to hide. But people like myself, who I'm a citizen, I have a platform, I have a voice, I feel like it is my responsibility to speak up, to do things. And if you find yourself in this place where you do have a certain level of privilege, where you do feel safe showing up and speaking up, I want you to know that now is a really important time for you to follow whatever it is that you want to do. Whether you join my webinar or don't, it really like that's almost besides the point. Obviously, I created my business to help women, to help women of color. Majority of my clients are either daughters of immigrants or immigrants themselves. Obviously, it's focused on this community, and I built it to help them live their purpose and live courageously. And I think that in this time when our community is being attacked so much, the last thing we want to do is stay small. If you've ever wanted to follow your goals and your dreams, I encourage you that now is the time. Now is the time to take up space. Now is the time to lean into your power, to lean into your purpose, to lean into what it is that you were here for. Again, if you are a DACA recipient and you are feeling really unsafe, do what you can to take care of you. But if you feel called to support this community and you have a level of privilege like I do, I invite you to take action on the things that you want to do. And I know it can feel selfish, but when you are taking action on your purpose, you are uplifting the entire community. You are going from being in this survival mode to being in this creator mode. And, had I stayed in my comfort zone and stayed in tech, like, of course, there could have been things that I could have done to give back in this situation. But I feel like me following my purpose has helped so many other people as well. Even with this upcoming launch, this at the end of the webinar, we're going to open doors for Courage Driven Latina. Everything I kind of talked about today, we talk about in Courage Driven Latina, and I have frameworks to help you with it. But even with Courage Driven Latina, being able to donate a percentage of my sales to help immigrants, that is amazing that I can do this. Like I'm not saying this for you all to give me praise. I'm just saying like I feel good about it. I feel good that I can do this. And this whole thing happening, yes, I could, feel horrible and play small, but it's honestly like fuel to the fire. Like I'm just like it's fucking go time. Now is the time for my community to show up, and now is not the time for me to play small. And I invite you to do the same. Okay, friends, thank you so much for listening. I hope you found this episode helpful. I will see you next week. Thank you so much for joining me this week. Make sure to visit theericacruz.com. That's Erica with a K, where you can subscribe to the show so you'll never miss an episode. You can help this podcast grow by supporting me with an Apple Podcast rate and review. If you took anything away from this episode, I invite you to take a screenshot and share it on social media so that your favorite badass Latinas can also check it out. Be sure to tag me at the Erica Cruz. That's Erica with a K, because you know I want to see it. If you're ready to join the revolution and be a part of the Courage Driven Latina community, visit couragedrivenlatina.com to get more information and join the waitlist. Thanks again, and I'll see you next week.